Well, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Full Credit to Not Another Rugby League podcast. I'm your special guest, former legend, and you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and that empty telephone box that is Blue Sky at former_legend. And let's kick off with what caught my senses in the past 7 days. And this week it was the headline in the New York Post. It simply read, "Woodcocks draw a crowd in New York parks." Imagine my disappointment when I clicked on that story to find out it was just a couple of rare pigeons and not the type of story where I might need a VPN. Most upsetting. Anyway, let's do a rapid recap for round 7 of NRL, which was of course show and shine round, where players were encouraged to park their cars at either end of the ground so fans could look at what sort of car each player drives. It was great to see so many players take up the offer. Brisbane players were highly represented, although there was a few issues. Adam Reynolds' car broke down coming into the stadium. Injured star Reece Walsh parked his beautiful, although slightly effeminate Suzuki Swift at the eastern end, while 5'8" Ezra Mam, his car had lots of dents all over it. It's really been knocked around, I tell you. For Manly, all three Trebojevic brothers took their cars all the way up to Queensland Bank Stadium, although Tom's car was only on the field for about 20 minutes and Jake's car looked striking with its black bumpy vinyl roof. But let's start there on Thursday night at Queensland Bank Stadium, where the Melbourne side embarrassed the Cowboys at home, winning 38 points to 6. It was the third win on the trot for rookie coach Kieran Foran, and further proves that the club moved too quickly on former coach Anthony Seabohm, who clearly had this team cherry ripe and ready to win before they sacked him. After the game, Cowboys coach Roddy Payton declared that his club got what they deserved. He also said his team tried pretty hard. Pretty much in the same way I tried pretty hard to get to church last Sunday. The only downside for Manly from the night was the injury to Turbo Tom, but the Seagulls turned lemons into diesel fuel by dropping Woodstock Cola back into the fullback position, and the young man starred. He ran for 200 metres, made a line break and 4 tackle busts. Friday night saw the Raiders host the Storm at GM Cold Stadium, and the Canberra team delivered another dagger to the career of Craig Bellamy.
I see dead people.
When they beat the Melbourne Storm 26 points to 22. Prior to the game, it was revealed that several seasons ago, Corey Horsburgh was on the receiving end of some abuse from some fans when he walked off the field after being sin-binned during an NRL game. In response, Horsburgh is said to have directed his attention to one of the fans and said, "Shut up, you little fat prick." Probably said it in between his tears, let's be honest. Anyway, that kid in the crowd turned out to be Storm young gun Cooper Clark, and the pair faced off in this game. It reminds me of my final game of footy, boys, out in the bush when I came from the field for the last time. An elderly lady abused me, screaming that I was a fat, unfit, talentless and ugly prick. And I'm not going to lie, I haven't spoken to Mum since. Anyway, back to this game. The Storm have now lost 5 on the trot after they gave up a halftime lead, following another Craig Bellamy rousing halftime speech that made my mum sound pretty reasonable. The last time they lost 5 in a row was back in 2012. They won the comp that year, but I don't see any Billy Slaters, Cooper Cronks or Cameron Smith in this team. Put it this way, if the Storm win this year's title, I will breastfeed Barney live on TV at full time, and Lord knows I've currently got the tits to do it. The second game on Friday night was from the Northern Territory at Darwin Stubby Stadium, where the Panthers beat the Dolphins 23 points to 22. Both of these teams were coming off the back of some heavy losses, and it was a highly competitive game. The Panthers managed to come from 4 points down with 5 to go to kill off the Dolphins like a John West tuna fisherman with a try and then a golden point field goal. Once again, it was Nathan Cleary with ice running through his veins. That's right. Ice in his veins, like a lot of Western Sydney these days, who slotted the extra time field goal to destroy the dreams of all those Darwin-based Dolphins fans. Saturday afternoon, and the first game on Super Saturday saw the Warriors handle the Gordon Tallis Titans 28 points to 20 at far right wing Media Stadium. After a dominant first half, the Warriors went to the break up 22 points to 0, thanks to some aerobatic finishing from their wingers, with the two dads of Lofi Khan Pereira and Dallin Wateen-Zalesniak.
Just let yourself, baby, feeling oh so silky smooth, and just let it shine through. Just let yourself go.
Starring in the air. The second half saw the Warriors concentrate on not getting their jumpers dirty, allowing 4 tries to the Titans without ever threatening for a win. The The second game on Super Saturday was out of the magnificent empty seat stadium with the Bunnies beating the Bye 30 points to 12, despite the Bye saying during the week that they wanted to do it for their coach and father of their halfback, Shane Flanagan. And you knew that Flanagan thought his time was up because this week he asked the club if they wanted him to renovate the bathrooms at the new Centre of Excellence, despite the bathrooms only being 2 weeks old. It was a tricky pull at the Sharks that bought him 2 more years on his contract. However, let's be honest, there was milk in the fridge at the Dragons HQ that was going to be there longer than this coach. Shout out to Valentine's Holmes in this one, the man who was halfway through a 3-year, $2.5 million deal. And for that money, he treated Latrell Mitchell like he was covered in funnel webs, missing 12 tackles and opening up the Strait of Holmes anytime Trell had the ball. Latrell capped his afternoon with 4 tries, but it could have been 6 if he really wanted them. The final game on Super Saturday came from the Meth Lab Stadium, where the team of destiny, the West Tigers, went down to an almost full-strength Broncos team 21 points to 20. When I say almost full strength, the Broncos lost Payne Haas after 30 minutes and were already without 9 players, including no-names Reece Walsh, Ben Hunt, Pat Carrigan, while Jesse Arthurs had a calf muscle strain and Katoni Staggs hurt his foot during the game, and they struggled to get through to full time. In fact, the Broncos were so down on hookers before this matchup, they called a couple of hookers from Fortitude Valley Rub and Tug to see if they'd be interested in having a run. But there were no excuses for the Tigers, and when I say there were no excuses, I'm obviously not talking about Silky Milky Jenkins lookalike, that alleged referee Todd Smith, who absolutely robbed the Tigers when he gifted the Broncos their last try, despite Xavier Willison being fucking held. 7 days previously, Dom Young literally put the back of his hand on a Tigers player, and that was enough for a tackle to be affected. But not on Saturday night, not for the NRL physio doppelganger, who clearly shared a room with Madge Maguire later in the evening. Sunday, and the Roosters beat last year's Wooden Spooners, the Newcastle Knights, at Electric Scooter Stadium, 38 points to 24. Freddie Tedesco wound back the clock in this game, finishing with 24 runs for 223 metres. He had 17 tackle busts, a try, 3 assists and 3 line breaks, while the man they call 5 off, Knights Fletcher Hunt, crossed for a first-half hat-trick to prick-tease the Newcastle fans into thinking a win was on the cards when they led 24-12 going into the sheds. It was interesting tactics in the second half from the Knights. They put half their team back on the Sid Fogg's bus, while the other half decided they didn't want to touch the ball and instead tackle for 40 minutes, and the plan was almost a masterstroke until the Roosters went and scored 24 unanswered points. Let's not forget, the Knights were running in the top 4 a couple of weeks ago, but have slid down to 8th on percentages. And in the final game of the round, after being whacked by the Titans 7 days ago, the Eels beat the Doggies at Spurbank Stadium, 38 points to 20. That's right, the Eels beat the Doggies.
Right.
Let's not forget that one of the Dogs' big signings for 2026 was attacking coach Adam Windscreens O'Brien, who replaced Jason Taylor. After 7 rounds this year, O'Brien is making Taylor look like Jack Gibson, with another bumbling Bulldogs effort with the ball. That's unless you're looking for barge over tries, then Windscreens is the man for you. Some of the Eels veterans wound back the clock. Josh Adokar ran like he was looking for a recharging cable. Professional Xbox player and good bloke Dylan Walker punched holes through the middle like it was Gyprock Wall. And Will Pennis-Eni crossed for his annual try. So that's round 7 wrapped up, boys. A round where Flano was let go, Bellyache held on, and Serraldo lost hope. Back to you in the Nathan Brooks Memorial Studios.
See some action, baby.